Osco. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another mind-blowing episode of Ballers to Balding, where, as always, we'll have some strong takes and some weak follicles. If you enjoyed today's ramblings, please subscribe, like, follow us on Instagram and Spotify. Join the movement that is sweeping this nation faster than a middle-aged guy drops 30 on Zepbound, then sees his toes for the first time in a decade. Come on. Well, Ross, we usually start out with a lighthearted banter and we catch up on what we've done for the week, but it's come to my attention that we have a serious issue that we got to address, and I'll turn it over to you. Let's get this out of the way. Face it head on.
Thanks, Paul. So this came from our corporate office in Houston. Which let us know about a complaint that was filed with the corporate office this past week. And apparently what happened is, on one of our first podcasts, we had mentioned Metamucil, and I had specifically mentioned the fact that I use it often, religiously, if I may add.
Yeah.
And one of our loyal fans, Jenny Fleischman, had actually noted in the comments that she had never heard of Metamucil, and she actually had to look it up, suggesting, can we have more information about Metamucil? Unfortunately, we've been so inundated with requests and comments that we missed that one. And we'd like to address it here today. So let's talk about Metamucil. And let me just start off by saying to Jenny and to any other listeners who are wondering about Metamucil, basically Metamucil is like heroin for 50-year-old plus. It is everything. It's something we rely on. And once you start, you cannot stop. So, Paul, why don't you give a little bit more background and history on Metamucil?
All right. First of all, for anyone unfamiliar with Metamucil, let me just say congratulations on your youth and your fresh, still functioning colon. You are living your best life right now. I would enjoy it while it lasts. But just, in case you're at a party and you want to discuss this, I'll give you a little background on the muse. Metamucil was first introduced in 1934 by G.D. Searle and Company and later acquired by Procter & Gamble in 1985 because apparently this industry giant for cleaning products looked at America and said, we got to get involved in their bowel movements. I guess, explosive shitting leads to more need for cleaning products. I'm not sure. The product itself is basically psyllium husk, a soluble fiber that absorbs water into your intestines and turns your digestive system from a go-kart race to the Indy 500. Trust us, one day you'll wake up and realize that Metamucil isn't just some random gastro product. It's crucial preventative maintenance with a nice orange flavoring. Well, we hope that answers your questions. And if there's anything more, feel free to reach out to us.
So,
Anything
Paul,
to
can I
add?
just add? Yeah, I have one thing to add. Because just in the interest in full disclosure, I have been using the Sil for over 20 years, and I have been regular for that time period. But one thing I would also recommend is something that actually, Paul, your wife gave me, and it has also added to the fun. And that is this product called Calm Gummies. Okay. Now this, as you can see here from on the list, is a magnesium supplement. And not only does it help things rifle through your body, but it also helps you sleep. So even though we're in some discussions, the corporate office in Houston with the manufacturers Calm for potential sponsorship opportunities. But I did, without even them actually being a sponsor, want to just promote not only Metamucil, but also Calm
Let me
as
ask you
recommended
something.
by your wife. Yes.
Do you think that Calm makes you sleep well because of the magnesium, or just with the calmness of knowing that in the morning you're going to have an explosive bowel movement?
It's an excellent question. For me personally, it's probably the latter.
Yeah.
It is probably the latter.
I guess it doesn't matter why it works if it works.
It works.
All right, we're going to go right to Douchebag of the Week. Let's get away from the shit, no pun intended, and go right to Douchebag of the Week. I'll go first. My douchebag this week is Mr. James Harden. A couple days ago, James Harden got pulled over by Houston police at 3:40 in the morning. Now, the exact reason he was pulled over is still unclear. And that doesn't really matter. That's not really part of the story. And we don't know where he was coming from at 3:40 in the morning in downtown Houston. But let's be honest, it's James Harden. There are a lot of possibilities, and not one of them involves the library. But the real story, however, is that when the police walked up to his Mercedes, they spotted a handgun sitting in his cup holder. Like half a finished Slurpee. Even in Houston, having a gun out like that is illegal. I mean, let's be honest. You've got to go out of your way to break a gun law in Texas. It's like failing an open book test. Now, Ross, as you know, James Harden is a shooter. Threes, step backs, floaters, anything where he can launch himself backwards, hit the deck, then cry for a foul like he just got fondled in the locker room. But when Harden said that he was going to work on shooting in the offseason, apparently somebody needed to ask him what the hell he was talking about. Because he's freaking driving around with a loaded gun bouncing around in his cup holder. And you'd think that James Harden, of all people, would be smarter about the offseason. This is a man who's had extensive experience with long summers. By mid-May, he's usually back in Houston, hydrating that beard, refreshing his socials, and wondering what's going on in the second round of the playoffs. So you'd think he'd have a whole off-season routine down by now. Lift some weights, do a little yoga, and don't drive around in the middle of the night with a handgun sitting in the cup holder like it's part of Mercedes' interior package. The cup holder! The glove box is just a few inches away. Move the beard oil, push the strip club VIP cards to one side, and jam that pistol in the glove box like a normal, irresponsible millionaire. For God's sakes, don't make a gun rack where the Diet Coke is supposed to go. And of course, Harden got a full celebrity slap on the wrist. His bond was reportedly only $100. For a normal person, getting arrested can be a life-altering crisis. For Harden, it's cheaper than getting that car detailed. So this will have less effect on him than every defensive coach he's ever worked with. To be clear, the reason this is so douchey is not because Harden is some kind of violent criminal. It's just rich guy arrogance and stupidity in its purest form. Every single part of this could have easily been avoided with a basic holster or a glove compartment. But instead, Harden handled gun safety the same way he handles transition defense. Casually, lazily, and with the assumption that somebody else is going to clean up his mess. So congratulations to James Harden. You may shoot the ball like you were taught by Steph Curry, but you handle a gun like you were taught by Alec Baldwin. And you, my friend, are douchebag of the week.
Yay! I love it. I love it. Great job, Paul. Great job.
All right, Roscoe.
I don't know if I can follow that, but I'm going to try. So my douchebag of the week is a group of people. As you know, we try not to do that, but here it just was so appropriate. And let me start by saying I have tried, as you know, and as our listeners know, really, really hard to feel good about the Knicks. I mean, they haven't won in 50 years. It's good for the for the NBA, for the Knicks to be good. As I've said, they're not really a rival of the Celtics, so it's a nice little story. But I have to tell you, all my Boston friends have said to me, including you, Paul, you can't do it. The Knicks fans are so obnoxious. They're so obnoxious. I still abstained. But then in watching this short 5-game series, a few things happened. Number one, Ben Stiller came out and said that all the celebrities in Celebrity Row get free tickets, which really makes the average New York fan happy, given the fact that even to get into the building, you're spending at least $5,000 for the nosebleed seats. Number two, if I didn't love the Knicks fans enough, there was Taylor Swift at Game 4. Ooh, great. And was she wearing Knicks paraphernalia? Was it merchandise? Kind of. She had special shirts with 3 of her friends that said things like Nicole Kidman, Stevie Nicks, plays on words. Now, I am not a Swiftie hater, and I had no problem with her going to the Kansas City Chiefs team. Another team, by the way, which is lovable, and you love their fans. But at least she's engaged to the tight end. There is no connection to the Knicks. And in my view, this was the first time where Taylor had to insert herself unnecessarily into the spotlight. That was a huge bummer to me. But you know what, folks? That's not even what makes me think that the Knicks fans are my douchebags of the week. You know what it was? After Game 3, the one game that the Knicks lost, there were multiple videos of Knicks fans beating up people who were wearing Spurs shirts just because they were Spurs fans. I'm sure that happened in San Antonio as well. You think it did? I don't think so. Unless James Harden and his gun were around, I don't think so. Now, second, game four, which the Knicks made a miraculous comeback. What did the Knicks fans do? Were they gracious in their victory? Sure. They pelted Wembanyama with eggs when he was walking from the bus into the hotel room and threw other objects at the rest of the team. And Game 5, when they finally won, such a good feeling. Let's sing New York, New York, but not before 63 people are arrested for burning buses and for hitting policemen and throwing things at policemen. Really, New York? Way to meet a stereotype. Sorry, I went from thinking you were a nice story to, oh my God, make it stop. They are such douchebags. And this week, they're my douchebags of the week.
Very good, Roscoe. And let me ask you a question. What kind of buses were they burning? Were
School
they
buses.
Oh,
School
yeah.
buses.
Okay,
School buses.
Make sure it's for the children.
Yeah, it's just and it's just, I fought it. I fought my friends. No. You shouldn't get upset. Oh boy, was I wrong.
All right, well, let's talk NBA. Let's talk about the finals. And first of all, I think we got to take a victory lap because our analysis was pretty dead on, especially yours.
Thank you.
You said the Spurs were too young and too green, that they didn't have enough poise to win. Turns out you were being generous. Enough poise. They had zero poise. They had negative poise. I mean, Wemby at times did look like the future of basketball in moments. But down the stretch, each game, the entire team played like they were wearing oven mitts. I mean, right? They were horrible. And now the Knicks, I'm already hearing from my wonderful New York friends how historically good this team is. And did they have a great run? Absolutely. But are they a great team? That's where I pump the brakes. Because when I think of truly great teams in my lifetime, I think of the Celtics and Lakers of the 80s. I think of the Jordans, Bulls of the 90s. Kobe and Shaq in the early 2000s were right there. And the Warriors with Steph, KD. Come on. Those teams didn't just win. They were like perennials. They were powerhouses. And then you've got the one-banner teams that still belong in a historical conversation. Two for me come to mind. The 83 Sixers.
Great call.
65-16, 12-1 in the playoffs, and swept Kareem and Magic in the finals. And another team, the 2008 Celtics, who were 66-16 and had one of the best defensive ratings in the history of the league. And in the finals, they beat Kobe's Lakers in 6. Those teams felt a little more like the best team in the league than, a team that got hot at the exact right time as the rest of the bracket fell apart. And I'm not throwing shade at all on the Knicks, though. The Knicks were really good, totally worthy champions. And for New York, obviously, they are historic. The Knicks fans have been wandering, in the desert for 50 years, surviving on Patrick Ewing highlights and the belief that a 40-win team is one player away. So yes, hang the banner, shut down 7th Avenue, let Spike Lee levitate above traffic. But historically, I actually think that they're a lot more kind of like the 2024 Celtics. That's the team that I kind of see them like. Both teams were 16-3 in the playoffs. Both were excellent. Both teams, handled their business, but neither team exactly had to survive a historical gauntlet to win the finals. The Boston's 2024 path on paper looks harder than the Knicks, but every round came with an asterisk. Miami didn't have Jimmy Butler. Cleveland was missing Donovan Mitchell. Indiana lost Tyree Halliburton. And yes, to be fair, Boston was missing Porzingis. for most of that run. He was definitely one of their best players, but still, it wasn't like they were facing a bunch of heavyweights. It felt more like they were sparring with their cousin in the driveway a little bit. You know what I mean? That's my comparison. The Knicks had their version of kind of the same thing. Boston completely shit the bed. So instead, in the playoffs, instead of having to play one of the hottest teams in the league since the All-Star break, they got a mediocre Sixers team without Embiid. And then Detroit got bounced before the conference finals, which meant that the Knicks avoided the number one seed, a team that had matched up pretty well with them and had kind of treated them like a speed bump during the year.
Yes.
And then in the finals, they got a Spurs team from the West that had gone on a great run, but clearly weren't ready for prime time. I mean, that was a really talented young team, finding out in real time that Madison Square Garden is not the place to learn about emotional composure. So my take is this. Knicks had a great championship run. They were a really good team. They deserve their flowers. They deserve the title. But I'm not going to anoint them a historically great team until, they go back to back or win another one. They're more like, to me, like a Milwaukee or a Toronto at this point. So, win another one, we'll talk. And until then, enjoy the parade, but stop acting like Jalen Brunson came down from Mount Sinai with the pick and roll carved into a tablet.
Also, not a good looking team. Not a good looking team. I mean,
that's
kind
important
of.
to you.
Well, I mean, I look past it. I look past the '80s Celtics, who were not a bunch of Cary Grants out there, but or let's say George Clooney.
Celtics.
Let's say George Clooney. But I got to tell you, I mean, Brunson's got to do something with the hair. Cat looks like that Muppet that has the red beard. That's the cool hip one. And I mean, they're just not good looking. However, my analysis is very similar to yours. I'm just put a little bit more meat on the bones. I agree with you 1,000%, as my dad, may rest in peace, used to say. I agree with you in that they were the best team at the end this year. Not a great team, though. And they were, I also agree, much more like the Raptors or the Bucks. Why do I say that? Similar things as you, but let me, again, give you some more facts. This team only won 53 games during the season. Yes, the regular season doesn't mean that much. But when we're starting to talk about greatness, you have to start considering that. And that is the one thing I would distinguish between this team and the Celtics of 24. Celtics of 24 won 64 games. They were clearly the best team in the league that year. But I agree with you, because of things that had nothing to do with them, they didn't have the same kind of a run that you could count on for some of these other great teams. Spurs led in this series for 73% of the minutes of the games. In all four of the Knicks' wins, they were down double digits or more during the game, and they were down with 4 minutes left in all four of their wins. Clutch, but maybe not great. And I think if you look at the Spurs, I'm not certain that the Spurs, if they played them another 6 times, wouldn't win 5 out of the next 6. But we don't know. And the reality is exactly what you say. Knicks win. They deserved it. One other point, by the way, the odds makers already putting odds in for next year. Now, these are people from Vegas. They don't have a dog in this hunt. 3 teams ahead of the Knicks: Thunder, Spurs, and Celtics, which is just very shocking to me. Celtics have better odds of winning the championship next year than the Knicks. Not a great team, but a worthy champion.
Yeah, championship team, a great season, a great run.
Yep.
All right, Ross, we're coming to a very dark time in sports right now. Hockey is over. Hockey was great too. Hockey's over. Basketball's over. Football's months away. So I think we got to talk about the World Cup. All right, give me your take. And I've been watching. You probably haven't even been watching. I've been watching. I have a take as well.
All right. I just don't care. I don't care. I know it's on, but last night I started watching Miracle again. I watched a rerun. I watched Rudy for the 18th time. I watched the Michael Jackson trial documentary. I just don't care about soccer. It's boring. they don't score enough. There's not enough shots at goal. I know that they're tremendous athletes in their own right, but there's no hand-eye coordination. That's why, folks, that 5-year-olds play soccer. I mean, I always thought to myself, if my children have no coordination, at least there's always soccer. It's
That's
just
not going to be popular.
it's just a boring, unimportant sport, and it's not going to catch on in the U.S. I'll say this: if the U.S. team, and I know they won 4-1 against who they beat, just beat somebody. Who did they beat 4-1?
Paraguay, maybe?
Yes.
Was that it? Paraguay?
I'm not sure. It begins with a P.
It was Paraguay. It was Paraguay.
Okay.
Paraguay.
All right, maybe it was Pennsylvania. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, it'll get exciting. It'll be a big deal if they do well. Everyone will go nuts. And then as soon as the World Cup ends, no one will care. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, kind of.
So I will say, I'm surprisingly positive about the World Cup so far. Okay. We are in disagreement, which is good because we agree about too much. I didn't see it coming. I usually think soccer kind of in the same way I think of the metric system. It's something that everybody else embraces, and I'm just not that interested in. You know,
who cares?
Yeah, but the World Cup has got my attention, and that's not even. I'm not a soccer guy, you know that. But it's just, I think, partly me being a desperate American sports fan in the middle of June. You know, basketball just ended, hockey just ended, like we said. Baseball is on, but let's be honest,
Red Sox soccer.
June baseball, it's like about as exciting as picking a yogurt flavor at the airport. It's not. There's nothing to it, right? It doesn't mean anything yet. So I'm starving for something that feels big, and the World Cup, to me, has delivered. The U.S. comes out, smokes Paraguay in the first game. It's colorful. It's exciting. The crowd's going wild. But the best part of this whole thing hasn't been the games. It's been watching social media explode with posts of foreigners discovering America in real time. And they're fucking losing their minds over Taco Bell and In-N-Out and Texas barbecue and tailgates and bottomless refills. Basically all the things that make us the most obese country in the world and are eventually going to kill us all. And the best version of this is happening in Boston, our hometown, where the city has been completely, I'm sure everyone's sort of invaded by the Scottish soccer fans, the Tartan Army, which has a very Braveheart ring to it, but is actually just a bunch of sweaty guys in plaid skirts guzzling beer. They have turned Boston into a giant fraternity party with accents. And bars literally, I read, bars are literally running out of beer. Is that amazing? Thousands of these Scots marched through the city in kilts, waving flags led by a lead pipe, I don't know what they're called, a bagpipe band. I think that's what you call bagpipers.
Yeah.
A gaggle of pipers. I don't know what it is. I don't know. All I know is that 50 men in skirts are playing bagpipes in unison. I'm joining the party, man. And then they end up at Fenway Park, where they basically take over a Red Sox game, singing and cheering. They gave that stadium the best atmosphere it's had since Ortiz retired. You know, chanting, drinking, chugging, and they fit in perfectly with Boston. I was thinking Boston has a lot in common with Scotland. It's cold, it's loud, everyone's pale, everyone drinks too much, everyone's angry in kind of a charming way, and half the city already sounds like they're yelling through a mouthful of gravel. So the people of Boston seem to love the Scots seem to love Boston, and now I'm sure if this goes on another week or so and nobody washes those woolen kilts, the relationship may become strained, and at some point the vibe goes from international celebration to why does this bar smell like a dead sheep floating in a kiddie pool of Guinness? But right now it's kind of beautiful. And honestly, isn't that what sports is about, man? People getting drunk together. So yes, I'm going to watch, and I'm going to try to embrace soccer, and I'm going to pretend I understand why a 0-0 game can be exciting. And if the U.S. team goes far, yeah, I'll jump on the bandwagon. And if they get bounced early, then we just go right back to the only thing holding American sports together, the one or two decent Major League Baseball teams, and Caitlin Clark. And that's my take, baby, on soccer.
Excellent. Can I just give you some thoughts on the Scottish?
Yes. Yep.
I like to drink scotch.
Yeah.
And I like scotch tape. That's as
Yeah,
far as I'm
that's as it
going.
goes.
That's as far as it goes.
And one of your favorite Europeans, one of your only two European men who
Yes.
you claim is not a pussy, is
Yeah, but he's-
Scottish.
Sean Connery.
Yep.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. All right, buddy. It's a good week.
Yep.
Good seeing you, man. We had a few technical difficulties. We got through them. I'll see you next week. Have a good one.